Hi everyone. So welcome back to another tutorial of Excel with UT. So in today's tutorial, we will be covering yet another important function in Excel, and that is in line with the earlier videos that I was sharing. And the formula, as you can see on the screen, is AVERAGEIF. Now, AVERAGEIF is another powerful formula which helps you to calculate the average of number of cells in a range that meets a specific criteria. Okay, that is what exactly the function AVERAGEIF does. So let us learn a little more about the formula and then we'll get going on the practical data for the formula. Okay, so as I mentioned, AVERAGEIF, it calculates the average of the number of cells in the range that meets a specific criteria. Okay, and the criteria can be anything. It can be a number, it can be a text string, it can be a logical expression, and it can also have wildcards as the criteria. I'll tell you the use of each of these separately, but there can be any certain criteria amongst these. Okay. Also, the criteria is case sensitive. When we say criteria is case sensitive, that means the exact notation and the exact formation of the criteria. For example, if the criteria is capital Japan and we in the criteria we mention as small, then we will not be able to get the result. So we will have to exactly mention the criteria which is there, which is available in the range. That is one condition. Okay. And similarly, along with this average if, we also have the formula average if s, which is again an advanced version of average if, wherein it averages the number of cells in a range with not only one criteria, more than one criteria. Okay, so here again we can have multiple criteria which are available in multiple ranges. Also, the criteria can be a combination of any of these criterias which we mentioned above. Okay, so this is how the average if function works in Excel. Now, let us go to the data tab and see how it exactly works. Okay, so this is the data, and if you see, we are having a snapshot of monthly sales data of the employees for a certain company. Okay, and we see we have the details of the employees based on the months of the year, how many sales they have done, the order count, city code, and informations like what brand of sales they have done. Okay, so if we start using the formula average, if let me just show you what are the parameters it wants as an input, then we'll go one by one in the case studies and see how it works. Okay, so if I say average, and so you see there is a formula average as well. So this is a simple average. For example, if I show you, we'll select normal average. It is just asking me the range. So I can simply select one of the range. Now remember, it has to be numeric range, obviously, because only the numeric range can have an average. Okay. So if I say enter, it gives me the average of the range that I just selected. It can be a range, it can be few numbers, it can be the manual numbers as well, which you can input. Okay, so this is simply the range of the cells which we give as an example. Okay, there is no condition here. We are selecting the entire range. We are selecting the entire bunch of data here. Okay. Now, if we talk about average if, now, average if slightly is an advanced version, wherein again we talk about the range, but along with that range, we also mention a criteria. Okay, so we talk about the range from which we select the criteria, and we talk about the average, the numerical value for which the average needs to be taken. So, primarily, three categories or three input parameters we have. Now, let us just start seeing few case studies here and see how AVERAGEIF works. So someone I can say is asked, what is the average sales done by the employee Ravi? Okay, so how do we find it? So basically the ask is how many average sales has the employee Ravi done? So the average of sales that Ravi has done. Okay, so I'll use the average if formula. I'll select the range. So be mindful, the range has to be selected where we see the criteria Ravi is available. So we can say Ravi is available in the employee column. I'll select the employee column, control shift down. I'll give the criteria. Our criteria is the employee Ravi. I'll give the average range. I want to take the average of sales here for Ravi. I'll close the formula and say enter. And this is the average. So this is the average of Ravi. If I show you, so you can see the average of sales for Ravi is 403.8. Now again, there is another way to arrive at the same result. If you don't want to use the manually type the formula, we can also use the formula builder functionality of Excel. We can drag this window here. We'll say average if. We'll insert the formula. Now again, we have to insert here all the attributes. So the first attribute is the range where we have the criteria. So this is the range. I'll give the range, select the complete range. I'll select the criteria as the next attribute. This is Ravi. Then I'll select the average. I need to take the average of sales here. All three conditions are done. I'll say done and I'll see the same result being arrived by this formula builder. So this is another way I can achieve or arrive at this result. You can do whichever the way you feel comfortable. So now there is another case where someone asks the average sales which are greater than 200. Now again, it's not only the average sales which is asked in totality, but they are checking which are greater than 200. So let me just again do an average if. I'll select the formula. The first category is the range. So I'll select the range. So since the range is the sales only, because we have to take the average of the sales value, I'll select this range. I'll give the criteria. Now criteria is a logical function. So I need to use inverted commas. I'll say greater than 200. So this is the condition. And I'll close the formula. And I say this is the average. Let's move to the third case where we're being asked. So if you see here, if I show you in the formula, we have not used the average range here. We have not inputted this criteria. This is because we are working on only one column that is numeric in itself, and the average will be taken on the same column. Okay, hence we don't need to separately select anything else. So in this case, we don't need to separately mention or select the column for average separately, because it's only one numeric column that we need to take the average, and the criteria also resides in that column. Okay, hope this is clear. Now, let's see how we can use some wildcards while using this average function, and how do they work. So if the case basically checks the average sales done in the phone category. Now you can see this is the brand we have, and it has the category of all kind of products, and some are phones, some are other company products. Okay, how to use these wildcards as a criteria in average function. Okay, now what does these wild criteria mean? Let us see first. Okay, when we have a wild criteria at both the ends of the term, It means the term should be appearing in the name anywhere in between, first or before, anywhere in the name. Okay, so let's do the average if. We need to select the range. I'll select the range where we have the word phone. So this is the range. Now I'll give the criteria as phone. There should be phone in the word brand and it can be anywhere. I'll select this range, sales. I'll close the formula. So this is the range. So if I show you all the brand where we have name phone in it, so these are the brands. If I take the average here, 318. Okay. The other one, phone, where we have the wildcard in front of the word with the last word. Anything it can be in front of the word phone. So let's take average if. I'll select the range. I'll select the criteria. You have to use apostrophe in case you are giving any logical function. So I'll say phone. I'll give the sum range as this. I'll say enter and you can say 283. So 283 is basically the average of all the brands having phone in the last. So now moving on, we move to the final formula, the advanced version of average if, that is average ifs. Now here, as we have reiterated before, it allows you to use multiple criterias having available in multiple range. Okay. Now, for example, somebody wants to check what is the average of phone sales in the month of Jan done by Jack. So how to do it? We'll select average if with the F's here. Now here again you see the first attribute that's been asked is the average range. Select the average range where we want to take the average, because after this there can be multiple number of ranges where we want to give the criteria. I'll give the criteria. I'll select the criteria range 1. So the criteria first is the name, so I'll select the column which has the name. I'll give the criteria as select. I'll select another criteria which is the month. I'll select the range. I'll give the criteria as the month specifically. I'll close this. I'll say enter. So if you see, we only have one entry where Jack is available in Jan, and hence the average is 32. Okay. So this is how you use average ifs, wherein we can use multiple conditions with which are available in multiple ranges, and it will give you the average ifs. So it will give you the average of all the numbers in the cells meeting those criteria, multiple criteria. So this is very much about the complete details of how we use average ifs with multiple conditions, multiple criteria, how the average if s function is used. I hope these case studies will help you to understand the formula better. Let me know in the comment section if you like the video. Thank you so much. Meet you in the next video.